This is a very important video for anyone who wants to become a content creator, influencer, or an entrepreneur. In this video, I'm going to be sharing my top 5 lessons that I have learned whilst I have been growing and scaling my business from zero to multiple 6 figures within just a couple of years. So if you are trying to become a creator, influencer, entrepreneur, this video is an absolute must watch. Before we get to it though, please don't forget to hit the subscribe button, like the video, comment, you know, there's all the stuff that I'm supposed to ask you to do as a YouTuber. If you wouldn't mind doing that, that would be great. I upload new content just like this every single week. Also, this video is sponsored by Maple, but more on them later. You are going to have to bear with me with this lighting today, guys. This is like the first sunny day in London in what feels like 10 years, and it's messing with me, so we're just gonna have to deal with it. So the first lesson that I've learned, I'm gonna start with one that is super controversial, because if you're familiar with me and my content, you know I like to share tips and tricks that you've probably not heard before, and also that are gonna make you really think, right? So lesson 1 is that repelling people from your brand and from your business is just as important as attracting them. Let me explain. A lot of the time when we start off on our journey, we start with this intention to attract as many people to our business or to ourselves and to our brand as possible, right? And the reason why is because we're obsessed with gaining an audience. We know that if we gain an audience on social media or whatever platform you're on, we know that if you gain that audience, it becomes a lot easier for you to turn your dream into reality and to actually start earning money, right? So we're trying to consistently attract people to our brands. The problem with that is we can sometimes forget to get specific about the people we're trying to attract. And instead what we do is we try to attract everyone. You've probably heard the saying before, if you're speaking to everyone, you're speaking to no one. I absolutely love that phrase and I live by it, and it's so incredibly true. When we try to attract everyone and when we try to speak to everyone, our messaging, so what we're saying through our content, falls completely flat, right? Let me give you an example. Let's say you have just created a fashion account. Maybe you want to use that account to sell clothing at some point. Maybe you want to use it to become an influencer or a content creator, who knows? The point is that you've created some form of account on social media that's all about fashion. Now, because you're so obsessed with getting an audience, we've all been there, right? You're like, I'm just gonna post about every style of fashion. And hopefully by me talking about every style from streetwear to luxury to fast fashion to everything, I'm going to broaden the net of people who will be likely to pay attention to me and likely to actually follow me. So what you do is you broaden your audience thinking, well, a broader audience means more people, so surely it will be easier to grow. But what actually happens is you end up putting off people who are specifically interested in one type of fashion. So let's say you actually are someone who's very sustainable and eco-conscious, right? But you don't talk about that in your content because you want to keep your audience broad. But what happens is that you end up missing out on attracting an audience of people who are interested in fashion but who are also eco-conscious, right? Because you're not sharing that messaging, you're not speaking directly to them, therefore they're not responding to you, because they have no idea that you're specifically trying to speak to them. You're trying to speak to everyone, so everyone's just kind of like, oh yeah, this person seems all right. They're not relating with you in a deeper enough level to actually go ahead and follow you and support your brand. They're just kind of seeing your content and leaving it like that. Whereas if you get specific with who you're trying to target, yes, you will end up repelling some people because there'll be people who are not interested in shopping sustainably, and that's totally fine. But you will end up attracting people who are interested in shopping sustainably. Those are the people who won't follow you if you're not being specific with your messaging, right? So that's why I say that it's as important to repel people who aren't going to be interested in your brand as it is to attract people who are going to be interested in your brand. Lesson number 2, and this is a big one. This is a really, really big one that could have massively changed my trajectory of my entire business if I just learned it a lot quicker than I did. You don't have to do it all. And most importantly, you should not be doing it all. There are people out there who are better at some stuff than you are. And I hate to break it to you. I know you're probably thinking, Jade, that is incorrect. I'm great at everything. And whilst you might be okay at everything, I promise you, there are people out there who are better at certain tasks than you are. And the reason why is because they're specialists and they're trained to be really amazing at a specific task. You as the creator, as the entrepreneur, it's great if you're kind of good at everything, but sometimes you need to bring in someone who is incredibly good at specific tasks to really help you grow your business and your brand, right? And I say I didn't get this right because in my journey as a creator and entrepreneur, I have gone through phases where I've not hired anyone, I've hired the wrong people, it's taken me a really long time to get to where I am now, where I've got a really strong team, and I honestly think if I just nailed this a year ago, I would probably be in a different situation than I am now. This probably would be my backdrop. I'd be living in a mansion. I mean, I was gonna say joking, but who knows? That could have been my reality, right? If you're thinking, okay, that's great, but I have no idea how to start hiring the right people, well, that is where Maple comes in. Now, if you're not familiar with Maple already, then buckle up because this resource is probably gonna change your life. Maple is a company which will partner you with the best marketing freelancers and boutique agencies in the business. So you know how I just said it's really important that you hire and you actually get people to help you out, but more specifically, you hire specialists who are better at tasks than you are? This is how you find those specialists, is by using a platform like Maple. Maple has spent over 10,000 hours, it's a lot of time, vetting marketing freelancers and boutique agencies to make sure that their books contain the most talented professionals that you could possibly work with. And as a result, they now have over 1,000 experts within their community. Now, Maple's marketers have been trusted by some very big, credible brands, such as Chanel, Tiffany & Co, Spotify, Uber, Samsung, the list goes on. Maple have been trusted by these brands to pair them with vetted freelancers. So if you're wondering, are these freelancers going to be good enough for me and my brand? I personally think that if they're good enough for Chanel, then they're good enough for me and you. Maple's freelancers and boutique agencies are experts in a variety of different marketing channels. For example, paid advertising, email marketing, SEO, social media, all of it. They have experts who specialize in all of these different areas who you can work with to really help you take your brand to the next level. Now, Maple's really unique in the sense that when they partner you with these vetted freelancers, they don't just kind of do it and then just say, see ya, good luck. They actually stick with you through the process and ensure that the work that the freelancer is producing for you is of a really high standard and that it's actually designed to get you the results that you need. In addition to this, you can now not only hire an expert, but you can also book a consultation hour with an expert of your choice. What's even more exciting is you can work with one of these experts to actually conduct an audit of some of your marketing. For example, your emails, your website, your SEO, and your Facebook advertising accounts. So if you feel like working with a vetted freelancer to really take your brand and your business to the next level, I do recommend checking out Maple. If you use the link in my description, you actually get $500 off, so thank me later. Lesson number 3, control the controllables. This is like a old school lesson that people talk about in a lot of books. Like, I don't know if you've ever read the book 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, but the author, who I think is called Stephen or Stephen Covey, I never remember people's names, like the author's names, so if I remembered that, I'm going up in the world. But the author talks a lot about controlling the controllables in that book as well. So it's like a common piece of advice, but let me just twist it to what we're talking about today, being a content creator, influencer, business owner, right? One of the lessons I had to learn pretty quickly was that if I did not focus on the controllables, I would probably run myself into the ground. So what that means is focusing on elements of my business and of my journey that I can control. So what that doesn't mean is focusing on things like the algorithm. Now, I know so many of us, myself included, are so tempted to blame the failure of certain things on the algorithms, because at the end of the day, the algorithms of any social media platform do really dictate who sees our content. So it's very easy for us to fall into the trap of being like, well, I'm doing everything I can, it's just the algorithms, right? The reason why this is not a trap that we want to fall into, and I had to learn to stop doing that, is because it removes all of our control from the success of what we're trying to do, right? From our business, from our brand. It basically allows us to say, not my fault, not my problem. I'm going to sit back, carry on doing what I'm doing, and just hope that something magically changes. We can't run our businesses like that. We can't run our brands like that. We have to focus on the elements that we can control. So you might be wondering, Jade, what exactly can we control? Well, I've obviously written a list for you. Things we can control when it comes to building a brand on social media include creating high quality content. So the quality of our content, we have full control of that. The quantity of our content, how many times we're posting good content, we have control over that as well. Our audience engagement. Yes, we can't always control how many people are going to see our content. That doesn't mean that we can't spend time in our comments, in our DMs, going live. These 3 things actually allow us to build a deeper connection with our audience, and that's something that we have control over. Researching trends, trying new formats, trying new things in general on social media. These are all things that we can do that will help us put us in a better position when it comes to how often our content is seen by our audience, but also allows us to regain control over the performance of our account. And obviously there are elements that we will never be able to control, do not get me wrong, But from my personal experience with my own channels, my businesses, and also hundreds of other creators and business owners that I've worked with, when you focus on the elements that you can control, you're actually able to steadily grow your social media presence and your brand. No, you can't predict if you're going to go viral. No one can, but we can focus on the elements that will allow us to grow steadily on social media. Lesson 4, the difference between success and failure for your brand is consistency. Yes, I said it. I know I don't even want to say it, so I don't even want to imagine how much you don't want to hear it. This is what everyone talks about. You got to post consistently to grow, blah, blah, blah. And I mean, I've said it and I'm saying it right now. And the reason why I'm like rolling my eyes is because everyone says it all the time and it just gets old. But one of the biggest lessons that I have learned, and this is in my business, but also, and more importantly, working with other people's businesses and brands, is the biggest difference between people who manage to see success and people who don't are the ones who never gave up and were consistent. That is the biggest thing. And the reason why is not just because the algorithms prefer when you're consistent on social media and all that stuff, not just because of that, but because when you are sharing content on social media consistently, you are actually allowing yourself to practice creating content and your content gets better. That is one of the biggest reasons why consistency works, and a lot of people don't realize that. When you are consistent, it means that you are constantly challenging yourself to come up with new creative ideas, new content, practice filming, and as a result of that, naturally, we all get better at our craft. And it's actually the content that we start to share as a result of being consistent. That is the content which helps us grow as a personal brand or as a business. So consistency, try not to think of it as just this tick boxing exercise that we have to do because then the algorithms will like us, right? Whilst that's still true, try to think of it as practice. Being consistent allows you to get better. If you looked at my early videos, which I'd rather you not do, but if you look at my early videos, you'll be able to clearly see that multiple parts of my content has improved over time. And the only reason I got to this point is because I've been consistent. And in 2 years' time, I'll look back at this video and think, hun, what were you doing? It was crap. But again, the only reason why I'll be able to get to a better standard in a couple years' time is because I plan to continue to be consistent. So yeah. Lesson number 5, we're almost there. The lighting has not killed me off yet, so we're doing well. I say killed me off like I'm a witch that melts with sunshine. I'm not, but my content gets messed up. So lesson 5 is that the aim is not to go viral. And I've spoken about this in a couple of videos and I'll link to them as I explain this point a bit more. This was one that I only learned recently, right? And I only learned it really as a result of me truly going viral. And I basically went viral on TikTok. I had a video that had like 3 million views. I know you can obviously get a lot more views than that, but that is the most amount of views that I've ever received on any of my content across any of my platforms. So for me, it was definitely a viral piece of content. Now, the thing that I learned from that experience was that going viral really isn't it. It's not hitting it for me. I'd actually rather not go that viral for most of my content. And let me explain why. Firstly, a lot of people go viral from one specific video. And if that happens to you, you can end up being pigeonholed for whatever it is you speak about in that video. If I went viral really early on in my journey when I was talking about boutiques, I used to own a boutique, so some of my early content was about e-commerce. If I went viral for one of those early videos, I would be in a tricky situation because I quickly learned that I did not want to run an e-commerce company anymore. So when I realized that I didn't want to run an e-commerce company, I was able to just stop sharing that content, close down my companies, no harm, no foul. If I had gone viral from one of those videos and gained a lot of people into my audience from that one video, I would have been a bit stuck because now I have a bunch of people who are following me for e-commerce content, but I don't want to share that content anymore. So going viral, especially early on in your journey, can actually pigeonhole you quite a bit. Other examples are when you see people go viral on TikTok for doing a specific trend or like challenge or audio, and then all they can do is recreate that content in different styles and formats because that's the only thing that people want from them, right? You see that a lot on TikTok. And then when they try to share something else, it tanks. So going viral could often lead to you being pigeonholed a bit. But in addition to that, going viral normally results in your business or your profile growing at a speed that a lot of us can't keep up with. Either mentally, because suddenly we've got all these people we're having conversations with, or maybe you'll start to get some negative comments, which often happens when you go viral and we're not ready for it yet. But also from like an operational perspective, if my business went viral really early on in my journey, I would have struggled to keep up with the demand that my business would have experienced as a result. So I talk about a bunch of different reasons, and I really go into deep about the pros and cons of going viral in this video that I recommend you watch. And I also talk about what you should be doing instead in this video. And spoiler alert, what you should be doing instead is slow and steady growth that allows you to grow with your business and your personal brand. So I recommend watching one or both of these videos when you're done watching this one. Okay guys, those are my 5 lessons. Let me know which of those 5 lessons were your favorite in the comments, because I absolutely love to hear from you. If you feel like hanging around, I've already told you 2 videos to watch, but if you don't feel like watching any of those, I recommend watching this one. It's a behind the scenes video where I show you the realities of a day in the life as a content creator. I'm willing to bet there's some things that I share in that that's going to surprise you. Thank you so much for watching as always. Can't wait to see you in my next video.